Good morning, Richard.
Morning. We should have done
Nice.
this yesterday, shouldn't we?
We should have done when we're actually face to face and talking. For those who don't know, Richard and I met for the first time face to face yesterday. Uh,
Mm.
and yeah, he's very good at fetching tea for me.
Mm.
Is what I'm going to say. Very good.
Very good. Yeah, thanks. I thought I did a great job. Stirred it spectacularly well as well.
You did. It's very much appreciated. And you need the sugars because the tea that you get from those sort of places is usually terrible.
Mm.
It's a naff
I
tea.
did. I did put. I was being like dribbling milk in a bit at a time, just to see the consistency, because it was looking a little bit like piss water. Oh, there we
Yeah.
go. There's the R straight off the bat. A little bit like piss water straight off. So I was being a little bit careful with it.
You do sometimes. You put it in and it looks more like an Ovaltine than it does a cup of tea half the
Like
time.
a
It's
vanilla,
like that.
a vanilla milkshake with all the
Yeah,
dairy.
it's like that pale pasty colour. So the sugar's there just to give it some flavour and some depth. But
Depth. Oh, yeah.
depth of taste. That's what the posh people say, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, hints of caramel
In your tea.
and
That's
the
something.
tea across the bottom. So
Burnt.
anyway, we had a lovely day. You were at the National Business Show yesterday.
I was.
I was exhibiting, which meant you actually get to go and have a look around where I stood on the same 2 metre square patch for 48 hours. Back hurts, eyes hurt, head hurts, everything hurts. My arms are killing me, Richard, by the way, though. You'd have thought for a place that sets up as an exhibition hall, you'd be able to park your car somewhere near the exhibition hall and not have to carry boxes about 3 miles through underground car
Not in
parks.
another London borough.
Yeah, and the first one, I thought 2 boxes will be fine, they're not that heavy. After you've walked quite a few hundred metres, they get quite heavy.
Farmers walking.
Yeah. But I told them like that, so it was more of a bicep curl, and they're really sore. So I moved to the over the shoulder old school method,
Sling it. Yeah.
proper.
Just chucking them down the stairs, going, sod this, I'm not carrying this anymore.
Yeah, but hard
Like
work,
I said,
hard work.
you did actually get rid of all your books and all your notepads.
I got rid of everything, so I think I took about 45 of my actual book, and they all went, and then about
That's,
198
that's
notebooks.
106 5-star reviews coming your way then.
I know. Some lady offered me a 5-star review the very next day. I was like, that's quick reading. And then I said, would you like a
Didn't even
copy?
take it. Well,
So,
that's kind of what we're talking. A shortcut, isn't it? That's the shortcut,
shortcuts.
isn't it?
Yeah, so this is your observations from yesterday.
Trying to curry favour with people by offering shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was really fascinated, right? Because I was wandering around, and thank you for allowing me to use your stall as a stand as a base because I kept wandering off, coming back, wandering off, coming back, and there was a lot of the similar type of thing there. There was a lot of cyber, which you kind of understand, a lot of AI, which you kind of understand, but and a lot of people. How I could describe it as, what did I say? Like get rich quick schemes, which I thought was really weird, to be honest, from a business show. And you're walking around in some of the presentations, and you're hearing them, walking them, and you're going, okay. I mean, fair play to anyone that wants to set up a business and give it a go. Again, I get all of that, not a problem. Full credit. But I'll go, what, eh? It's one of those like, eh? And then I came back and I said, didn't I? Like, is it me or is it just smack of everyone that it's just shortcuts? People,
Yeah.
there's just shortcuts. Searching or offering shortcuts to solutions because it's like, as we've said repeatedly, that for example, using AI only works if you've got the solid foundation in place. AI only works if you're giving it the right information and asking the right questions. And there was a ton of AI companies all offering amazing stuff, don't get me wrong, amazing platform, really, really smart stuff. But you go, well, what? Uh, Again, what's that built on? What's that offering? How kind of, where can you take that and go with it? And the fact that there was a lot, it kind of looks like, well, where's that all coming from? Where's that foundation? Where's the the understanding of a business to be able to fully utilize it.
Yeah, and it's odd one. There's actually another chap there called Richard Godfrey who runs a company that does AI and stuff.
I walked past that stall. It was an absolute joke, honestly.
Absolute joke. But I had a chat with him at the end, and we had the same conversation about exactly that. It's like, unless you've got the platform and everything in place, then AI
Do,
is
do you mean Richard
good.
Godfrey? Because that's you.
It's good, but it's not very good. And actually, on LinkedIn this morning, someone I meant to grab it. Someone had posted a picture, and it was a liquid soap pump piece, but shoved into a bar of soap with
Brilliant.
the with the thing going AI in legacy businesses or something like that. And it was like, yeah, that's exactly almost what we were talking about. They've tried to go straight for the shortcut of where does AI help me?
Mm.
And I've had lots of chats with people and previously, and Simon Oliver, who's on LinkedIn, raised a point. I said to him, a lot of people are looking at it wrong as well. And I spoke to the other Richard Godfrey about this
There is
yesterday.
another
That
Richard Godfrey.
there's quite a few of us actually. I used
Oh
to
my
just the
God.
sad thing is I'll digress here. I used to be a member of a Facebook group for Richard Godfrey's, and we used to chat. And there's another Richard
Oh, I
Godfrey
bet that
on
was a barrel of laughs.
that was a barrel of laughs. There was another Richard Godfrey on LinkedIn, and he hasn't even got a picture up, so I've never met the guy. Every time I post, or not every time, but a lot of the time I post, all he does is write shit name underneath. It increases me. So we do have a
Oh
very good
dear.
sense of humour as Richard Godfrey's, but
Yeah, you have to though, don't you? Really?
yeah, but yeah, I mean the whole AI thing. It's like you can look at it from one perspective, and you're looking at the easy things like the minutes, summarising minutes and meeting
Yeah,
notes and doing a
of
few bits.
course.
But I always look at it as how do I use it to improve what I do? And so, from a business perspective, if you put me in a room and said, right, you've got Richard Branson sat there and Steve Jobs and Albert Einstein and these
Alan
people,
Sugar.
Alan Sugar, he was at the event, and all these
He
people
was.
sat there, you wouldn't walk up to them and say, can you summarise my meeting notes for me?
No.
You'd actually have proper conversations with them and say, how do I improve? What would I work on? Where am I going to get better? And the questions back would be, what are you currently doing? What are you working on? What have you tried? What hasn't worked? And you'd have a bit of a dialogue. And that's where I see a lot of the AI stuff for me personally coming in, and
Mm.
why I collect the data on my side is so you can ask those questions of it. But the
Well, the whole
foundation of
concept of that, it's in the name, isn't it? Chat GPT is
yeah,
chat. You're supposed to
you chat. You're meant to
ask
chat to it,
back and forwards, back and forwards. He's
and you
never going
ask
to
it
get
these
tired. He's
questions.
never going to get tired of you asking questions unless you're persistently asking stupid questions.
Yeah,
And then
which a
it
lot of
might,
people do.
if you give it the free rein to give you an honest opinion back, then it might tell you to shut up after a while.
Yeah, but you need the business data and your understanding your information to tell it what you're doing and what you're working on. And
Mm.
it's almost like people just jump straight to, like you said, the get rich quick scheme. Tell me how I should do this, and it's giving you an answer based on like the generic information it has in its database,
Mm.
rather than the specific information directly related to you and your business. Uh, so I think in all these schemes, and especially with AI and cyber and IT and everything else, I don't think people really understand the layers of work almost that you need to do first to then bring a lot of these platforms in and use them. And
Mm.
you do get sold the buy our software and it'll fix your problems. It's like, well, if your problems are process problems or people problems, it ain't fixing any of them.
Well, that's the
Uh,
kind of thing, isn't it? And I think, like you said, it's there to enhance. It's there to enhance and enrich and maybe speed things up and do things like that. But it's not going to suddenly plug it in and it's going to give you the answers to the universe and the solution of how you're going to make to convert your 1,000x your revenue in the
yeah,
space of 2 months, because it doesn't work like that, does it? And you were saying as well about that training course that because you have to put the effort in, and it was over a period of time, and some people were like, I'm
Yeah.
not willing to,
I,
not willing
I
to do that. I just want the outcome. And it's like, well, you can't. You're not. It's the same as anything. It's the same as, if you want to go on a train for a marathon, you're not just going to go, right, I'm going to do it for 2 days. I'm going to do 2 miles a day, and then I'm going to go and run a marathon. I mean, you might be able to do it, physically somehow. You might get there eventually, but the state you get into, because you wouldn't be. It's just not possible.
yeah,
I mean,
and I think it was obvious in that course. I'm looking back in the 5 years ago, and you almost could see around the room those that were there in a way because they thought it was a short term quick win fix thing. But actually, the guy Daniel who does the course and everything, he was very clear from day one that I'm telling you kind of the framework and what you need to do and kind of how you do some of this stuff, but it's up to you to knuckle down, put the effort in, put the time in, put the work in. And as he said, you don't suddenly go from nothing to having a really high profile in a week. That could take you 2-3 years to build up to that point with
mm,
the work you're doing and everything else. And I think a lot of people drop in, and I probably wasn't big enough to do the course at the time, but actually I learned loads from it about where to kind of get to. And I'm looking back now, going, I use loads of stuff that I was taught in it now, five
mm,
years later, but I never viewed it as I'm going to do this course, and next week I'm going to be a millionaire sort of thing. Which I think
yeah.
some people go into it with that idea, and I think they take that into other concepts. And I actually used to talk. It reminded me the book, the Be the Five book. But there's a bit in that where I talk
It's
about
now a
digital
bestseller.
transformation. Well, I talk about digital transformation in it and why I don't like the phrase. And it's probably different to a lot of people, but in the early days of digital transformation, when people were talking about it in probably 2012, 2013, 2014, it was very much all about the software and it was all about the companies coming through. And then what happened was they realized that didn't change anything.
Mm.
And that actually you just carried on. You just had a slightly more modern, newer piece of software to look at when you're doing your really bad processes. And you suddenly saw the marketing messages change from digital transformation being about the software to being about the people and the process, because they suddenly figured out that unless that changed, the software was useless. And now you get people running around preaching about, oh, digital transformation is this, this, and this. And it's like, but you've got to that point because the big software companies advertised something completely different, realized it wasn't happening and the savings and the benefits weren't being delivered, and then moved it to a different messaging. Sorry,
Yep.
my dog's just seen the neighbour go by.
Not the groomers. All right. We just talk over him. It's fine.
He's still going.
Shut.
Like everyone else in the world, he ignores me. So
I didn't ignore you.
you didn't know. Actually, a
I
lot of
didn't.
people didn't. I had some really good conversations. It
Yeah,
wasn't
you
as good
did.
as I thought it would be yesterday, but you meet the odd person who you actually have a really good chat with,
Mm.
who are doing things. But yeah, I do think everything's been kind of short track changed, or like we said, it was originally one thing where it was all about the software and the tools, and Tableau or whoever would come in and go, use us, and suddenly your company will be successful. And you're like, it won't if, like you say, everything is wonky sat behind it. If you're feeding rubbish into the system, I do look at your posts, you see.
You do.
One
You don't
day,
like them, though. Yeah.
I do. I like every single one of the 10,000 you post a week.
It's
Uh,
not that.
Uh, but it is that you need the platform, you need the foundations, you need that in place first before you then start doing a lot of these other things. And
Mm.
I just, to me, I just see so many people getting it wrong. And with AI being the latest hype, with everyone jumping on it, again, they just want to be almost seen to be using AI or doing AI or selling AI. And actually,
And that, to
fundamentally,
me,
that
is it, are they actually are they solving a problem or are they providing a shortcut? And then that's kind of, as a business, you should always, if you do a pitch, you should always say what problem are you solving, who's your customer you're appealing to, and what's your ask. And it's like, well, if we provide people with an AI platform to
yeah,
get to the endpoint quicker. What endpoint? Well, is that the right? And obviously, from a consumer perspective, with the what's the latest thing I saw? Is like you got on a social media post, you have 8 seconds. People's attention span is like 8 seconds per
Yeah.
post or something. And you're like, yeah, that's the first head. That's the thing that's going to appeal, right? It's going to be, and even the concept of, I mean, it's going a bit deep now for a Friday morning, but even the concept of social media is a shortcut to information, right?
Yeah.
Not all that information is going to be useful. Some of it's going to be a pile of shit, right? So you're going to be like, well, it's that medium for what? And I've seen a lot of posts, and I was taking good notice of all the other people a load of AI. AI is it's there, and there's some fantastic stuff going on. But you kind of go, where? Maybe I'm too skeptical, but you go, where? What are you going to end up in a position where you've got where some people, companies now, where you've got multiple platforms and applications going on? Are you going to end up with multiple platforms and applications, and then multiple AI applications on top of that? So are you just shortcutting to answer to a certain endpoint and delivery, but are you in time going to end up shortcutting your way to yet another problem and yet
Yeah.
another layer of applications that you're going, I've got applications everywhere, I've got AI throwing out stuff left, right, and centre, and you end up in almost a shortcut to an outcome or information, but you're going to be overloaded and deluged with all this stuff. And you're going to be in a potentially, is it going to be make things from an information perspective? Is it going to make it more complicated again because you're going to end up with access to just too much stuff,
Yeah.
which you kind of gone too much information, can't, it's not manageable. I can't really make sense of it. I need to transform it to through the pipeline out and out. I've got too much information. It's too complicated. I don't know what's right and wrong. And are you kind of almost heading back inadvertently back down that path? And
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's a bit
Well, I mean,
deep, but I just don't know. It's a question, isn't it? Interesting.
yeah, and you could almost, I mean, it's a very basic example, but do you remember when I mean, you remember as much as I do, when access databases were the thing?
Don't remember those too young.
Too young. Everyone had one. Everyone was creating their own
Yeah.
databases. And I remember we did a clear out on Peterborough on the estate, and we had thousands of them that hadn't been used for like a year or 2 years. And you're almost thinking, well, actually, with AI, if you're not, if the company isn't starting to use AI as a corporate entity sort of thing, but you get your shadow IT, shadow AI going on elsewhere, and everyone's making decisions based on the little bit of information they've got or the little bit of work they've done, then I think you will end up almost back in that world
Are you,
of
are you, are you exacerbating the problem because you
yeah,
almost, unless there still has to be some control and governance around that people, that you don't end up with. It's the same with you know having information silos and data silos and dashboard silos where you have 30 different versions of the same thing, and you're like, because you can.
yeah,
You got a Power BI license, you can create your own stuff, right? It doesn't matter. You pull it from the same place, do what you like with it, do loads of transformations, create some numbers, bash, show it out at a management meeting and go, what's all that? It's no different to that number there. Is there a danger that without some, it is the key element of this, the control. You still have to have some control over what is being asked, what is being fed in, and then what comes out. There's some qualification going on to go, this is what we're going to do. And is there a danger that you're going to end up with stuff going on all over the shop again and almost
yeah,
on top of something that's already fragmented and siloed, you're going to end up with it going out again to another layer, another
yeah.
10x
And
of information,
and
not, not income.
I know people obviously hate shadow IT as well because there's a lack of control. But I used to, I wouldn't say encourage it, but I quite liked it because in a way, if someone's gone out to find their own solution to something, it means us as an entity weren't providing them with it,
Mm.
or they weren't being able to do something. So whenever we had people who we found, because we obviously had loads of controls at Peterborough and MDMs and device managers and all sorts, if someone started to download an app and use it, we would actually have the conversation to say, why do you need this above everything else you've been given? We've got various bits. And if they turn around and said, it's because this, and this, you're like, okay, that's valid. Let us now do the checks we need to do from an IT perspective. And
Yeah.
if we're okay with it, we authorize that as a corporate app that people can use. So it was a bit of a, rather than locking everything down and saying, no, you can't, it was a bit of an eye opener of what aren't we providing you? And I think AI will get to that point as well. I mean, there's so many tools now. I use about 10 different ones at the moment. Napkin is my latest.
Are you
Napkin AI.
cheating on ChatGPT?
I am, but I do tell it. We have honest conversations on it. But no, Napkin AI. If you want to do a little diagram,
Oh,
you just put in
yeah.
what you're talking about, and then generate. And it will generate flowcharts and funnels and all sorts. Gear cogs, things you kind of find in a PowerPoint presentation, but would take you 3 hours to pull together and line up. It does it in about 10 seconds, and then gives you, if you choose the funnel option, it then will give you like 10 versions of the funnel, but you can edit the words and everything around it. Then you just download it as an image, stick it in your slides. So that one's quite cool. That's my new one that I've been playing with. So you can see if someone's in an industry that's constantly doing that. I mean, Deloitte's will be loving that, won't they? A slide deck generator thing. They're getting rid of half their staff now.
No. 15 slides is not enough, please. Please 10x the slides. 150.
Yeah.
I keep saying 10x today.
10x, because you heard it about a million times yesterday. Yeah. So, but I think there are opportunities for IT and departments to look corporately and go, what aren't we providing? Why are people looking at some of these other tools? And actually, we do need to corporately look at this, but also make sure that, where someone is working off business data, for example, that they actually have the right business data in front of them. Because there's nothing worse than trying to make a decision when you're looking at the wrong set of numbers or something like that. So, there's a lot of work to do around it. And I think we're coming back to the shortcuts. Everyone loves a bit of a shortcut, but in some cases, you do actually need to put the work in and put the time and the effort in and slow down, take your foot off the gas a little bit, and make sure the foundations are right and in place. And a lot, as you know, most of these quick win schemes, the only person who wins is the one selling it. So,
well, they also burn out, don't they? They burn out quicker. They burn out too quick, and then you end up with something that you're going, we can't really use it again, or it's not adding any value. So then you find another one. So it actually isn't any quicker in the long run. Yeah, buy my course. I give me 10 grand, and then I will guarantee to 10x your income. But I don't care if I do, because I've got my 10 grand.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm pretty sure that Mike Winnett on LinkedIn, he published a book, How to Be an Amazon Bestseller. He published that, and it was a blank book. He just got it through, got it published, and you basically bought an empty book. made him a bestseller. So that was his cheeky. That was his cheeky attempt at showing up what people are doing, and it is that kind of bit. But you see so many people wanting those quick rich, do it easy. There's no effort, no time. But fundamentally, if you run a business of any sort, and as Dan said on the course, you've got to put time, effort, and work into what you're doing to make it work for you.
So, as we're running out of time, so we're going to go to an exhibition soon and promote the podcast, and we get some merch we were talking about, some takeaways that we might have to get kind of, checked that we're allowed to use what we were planning to use.
I don't know if there's anything wrong with the stress reliever based on the title of the show. I don't know, a little stress ball of some sort.
I'm not sure where to put the whether we. No, I'm not going to go there.
Don't go
I think I'm not going to go there. I think the little tote bags would be quite good as well.
Yeah, I wish I'd have done the bags because there was that many freeloaders there just there for free stuff that it's kind of like you might as well.
It was bad. I mean, I felt guilty going and nicking borrowing a bag from Dell, but actually there was a million people walking around with armfuls of stuff coming out of the vet show that was next door as well. There was literally people looked like they'd been Christmas shopping.
Well, I was joking with my half last night saying I'm pretty sure a lot of the local people who are local to it, they'll see what shows are on, see which ones are free, and literally sign themselves up to it, and have a stroll round and walk out with about 25 notebooks, a few pairs of socks, and a couple of t-shirts. You're like, it's perfect.
All right, I got a drop. So
No worries.
you go
I'm
and get your
shattered anyway. So
you go and take your dog to the groomers.
no, they come to me. It's a mobile one.
Ah,
So I'll take him out for half an hour just to let some energy out the back end, and and then the
right.
groomer comes here. We just plug him in, and he sits in the van outside. It's brilliant.
Awesome.
So, cool.
Have fun. Speak soon.
Right. Yep. Don't leave too early.
No.